Hi, Mrs. Ryan.
Hi.
What do you want to talk about on the show today?
Well, I think we're going to talk about what it takes to be vulnerable, what we're afraid of.
Vulnerability, conquering fears.
I like it.
Yeah, thanks for being succinct.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Damn it. My point is, it's not hard. Or it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be.
Hello.
Remember that.
Hello, Mrs. Ryan.
Hello, hello.
How are you? As we get
Fine.
situated here.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for asking. Hello, everybody. Let's see. Today is Monday, April 30th, 2018. We are here. I am Jay Ryan. This is Nicole Ryan, also
Wow.
known as Mrs. Ryan, that is. Today is a neat and interesting show. It's just the two of us, but we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, including Friday's show, or no, Thursday's show. We never do a show on Friday, but Thursday's show, we normally do a show, and we did a show, but I don't believe that all of you will be seeing it, at least not for a bit. But we're going to talk about that, as well as what the Chiron said in the opening, because I feel that, or we felt that, it was something we needed to discuss in order to overcome some of the existing nerve issues, self-conscious issues, vulnerability issues, basically stuff that you need to get over in order to unlock whoever you are and want to be. Would that be fair? I mean, that's a little bit kind of bold statement, but is that fair? Unlocking, etc.
I think it's very fair. My blog title yesterday was Becoming Me, and I was like, delete that. That sounds so lame, but that's all the
Kinda
same
true
thing.
though,
It's
right?
the whole, I mean, I kept wanting to delete it, and it was like, that's really what you want to say.
Well, I've tried to have this show with you a couple times. One time we called it Getting Ready to Be Yourself or something like that, all this different stuff, and nothing really seemed, all right, first of all, you're a tough nut to crack in general.
Sorry. Yes.
No, I'm just saying, like, you were very successful at what you did for a living at the executive level. You would have to be a strong personality to have achieved the things that you've achieved in your life. None of these things are negatives. I'm saying take that stuff and spin it around to who you are now and make it work for you. And then just the stuff, whatever. Like, you go ahead and talk, and then the whole thing. That's the truth, though. I think that all this stuff is really simple, just like all the stuff they told you when you were a kid is actually true. You are what you eat, etc. All those little idioms. So anyway, you take the mic for a moment here, and then we'll get into, we've got tons of news, we've got tons of different business to go through, a couple announcements, and but really this is a conversational episode. This is a show between you and me that we're letting everybody in because that's what we do now. This is we're all in this together, so to speak. Because you know what I mean? Because people do spend time with us now, and it's kind of a weird thing. So we're learning how to be with each other, or with ourselves, so to speak. This is new to you. I keep telling you to take the mic, but I keep talking, and I'm sorry about that. It's the coffee, I think, already. Go ahead, but this is new to you.
Being public and talking, it's very new to me, and it's not only. I feel like I've said this before, so please interrupt me if I'm repetitive. But I was actively not public, and my job was to not be public and to hold things back from public people about public people. And
you were in the
whatever.
information control game, the information management game.
Yeah, and
funnel through me, funnel over here, instead of like, let's get all the information out there openly and honestly. That's not how it worked.
It's not how it worked with the speed at which we were doing things. The bigger conversations were how to do that, but then we got overwhelmed by the minutia of like, I saw you in a press line and you said this, and it's like that takes over. So, I am struggling very badly with being public, and I think that comes out in weird ways, like that therapist I used to go to that says like things come out sideways that you don't deal with. And
is this anything? Just anything is that way, right?
Anything, any emotion that you don't address will come out somewhere. And
eventually. You may think it's locked up. It'll come out.
I'm the queen of thinking things are gone, and they are all showing up. So thank you to everyone paying attention and listening, because I am having such a hard time with this that I cannot understand really why. And part of my MS thing, which I'll just throw that out there.
It's all connected.
It is all connected, but and I some days I feel like I have a really good handle on it, and I'm very like on the path and straight and narrow sounds like something I don't mean for it to, but just like in the sense of like keeping thoughts together.
I was gonna say the days when you have your head on straight, like when one feels like they have their head on straight.
Yeah, there's days that I feel like I'm fine, and then I either sometimes it takes nothing. I can literally go listen to a podcast and my thoughts are scrambled to like I have no idea where I was. Or I can talk to you and say something and your response. I've learned to let go of all expectation, because that's just a recipe for disaster with anyone. But for whatever reason, a response I get or a face you make, it could be something as simple as like, you're just awake and the cat kept you, like, who knows, who cares? But like I get triggered by weird things and then my body shuts down, and it's like, that's not good for this. And so I, again, like, thanks everyone for your patience with that, because it's weird.
Well, all right, let's talk a little bit what happened on Thursday, excuse me. So we had a guest here, and luckily it was a friend, and the first half hour was great. Everything was fine. And then something happened. And I thought at the time, I was like, oh, maybe she's hungry, or maybe this isn't, I think maybe an No, it's for real. You know, when people get hangry.
Hangry.
They're all hangry.
Like Snickers.
Or I was thinking maybe on the lines of like sometimes when you have an MS flare up, that's sort of the beginning where you get a little scrambled and a little defensive and you go off the rails a little bit. And I'm not trying to say you're crazy, but you're not thinking in the way you normally do. And I can tell. And that's what it looked like to me. But anyway, it went down a whirlwind of like defensive and aggressive behavior. And it was kind of a weird thing. And we all decided to just eventually be like, look, this isn't going to work today. Let's
yank that one.
Well, yeah, because it just got weird. And it's the type of thing that, you know, now that we're talking about, I hope that we do show at least portions of it someday. Because we do have all the footage. Somebody was like, oh, did you forget to press record? No. We have the whole thing. It got weird. And it's one of those, 50 episodes. We've done 50 episodes.
Congrats.
I think it's okay that a couple of them are, weird and duds that, something happened and they didn't air. So I don't care about that. I want to get to the bottom of this for us. I know I'm talking in circles. The gist of it is the name of this, what we want to impart with this episode is overcoming these things that it starts with fear, right?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that the simplest thing?
It's the root of everything. Like if you do enough work, it always comes down to you're afraid of something. Mm-hmm. Always.
Right. So if that's the case here, then what are you afraid of? And then maybe we can just nip this whole thing in the bud.
All right. Well, fingers crossed. Because if we can, if we can
no
get
pressure.
that out
No
of the way.
pressure. I'm just saying.
You asked me about this, and I was like, yeah, got it. I can totally come up with that, because I feel like it's just every day I'm vulnerable about something. But what it really ultimately comes down to, I worked on this more after we talked, because it does come down to that fear thing of like, I am petrified that people are not going to like me. Mm-hmm. And truthfully, which is like, there's more to this. This is not the end, but I will just say, like, I've gotten fine with people not liking me. Like, whatever. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't. It is what it is. Like, it's fine. I'm not for everyone. But my thing now is that I don't want people not liking me to affect you or and I know it's not.
No, you've already gone down this road too far. Who the fuck doesn't like you? Why do you think they don't like? It doesn't even matter. Why are you even? Do you hear the problem here?
Yeah, I'm sillily self-conscious. It's really bad.
But it's not even accurate.
Okay.
Can you tell me somebody who doesn't like you, and then maybe we'll ask them to leave a comment? We'll send this to them and be like, just leave a comment. You know what I mean? Like, don't actually. But what the fuck do you care, for one? And what does it matter? I mean, maybe this should be opposite. What does it matter for one, and why do you care for two?
It doesn't really matter. I shouldn't let it matter. but it gets in my way because of, I think, my old job. Being likable was what got you farther in a business, and I'm stuck in
I can't stop
there.
saying this enough. You are likable. So why do you think you're not? Everyone that watches this, that comments, or that we talk to, or that we hang out with, that we know, just everyone, if anything, they have too positive of an opinion of you. And I'm serious. That's something that irritates me sometimes. When everyone's like, she's so positive. I'm like, you're crazy.
Maybe that's what, I'm like backlashing against people thinking I'm positive.
But why don't you, but you want to be.
But I want to be positive.
You're always saying you want to be, yet you stay in the ditch. The negativity ditch.
I do.
The ditch of negativity.
It's really an unfortunate quality of mine, and I'm working really hard to fix it. So I'm, again.
What are you doing to work so hard to fix it? Like
well, I told you I started walking again on the treadmill, which is, it sounds silly, but it really is helping my headspace.
It's huge.
And
thank you for doing that. I thank you only because I've been on you to do it for a year.
I am real.
It's okay. And I'm sorry if that came across as a dig. It didn't. It was just, I'm so happy that it's helping you because I knew it would, because of course it would.
My body was really weak for a long time. And so I think in the year that you were like, go outside and go to the whatever, I wanted to, but I didn't have the energy to do it. So that beat me up. Like I beat myself up over like, I was just so tired. I was in bed a lot and not sleeping. Like I wasn't tired like, oh, sleep. I was just like, my body was exhausted and worn out, and it read differently in my mind. So like sometimes I thought I was sad. Sometimes I thought I was tired. I was just, I couldn't place it. So because you're one of the most supportive people I know, and you were like, just
here comes the honesty.
Right.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, in fairness, I didn't explain any of that properly at the time. Like, I just looked like I was hiding away sometimes. But, like, I couldn't get the energy to go outside and, like, go to the treadmill. So now I'm doing that, and I'm really, like, realigning my life. Because when I have moments like I did the other day where, like, I can see myself shut off, it's trippy because it's just not, like, a cool human trick.
Right.
By any means.
It is a stupid human trick for sure.
Well, when I started to, it's a stupid human trick. I can tell in photos, like I've done all that work of like going back and looking to see when things happened and whatever. So
things like trauma. What do you mean?
When traumas would like start a flare up, I could see. I could see in
Once
photos.
and then you 2020 at hindsight. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, I'm conscientious, part of my work for my writing and my all that stuff. I really was just taking a ton of notes and like recording a bunch of shit that was happening.
Okay.
But I was shutting down. So like, who cares? Like I wasn't functional a lot of the time. So I'm realigning to be functional, and then I can address my notes of how things go.
Good for you. Here's what I hear. I've got a plan.
I finally have a plan.
And you're actually working it. You know, for a long time, I feel like you were afraid of even making a plan. And this is part of the process, by the way, whatever you were going through as well. I think it's MS. I think it's a lot of stuff. I think you're figuring out I think you're unraveling your entire life to be the adult you want to be, is what I think. And I hope.
Yeah. It's taking me longer than I thought. And it looks to me like I keep thinking I've done it. And so I'm like, okay, time to go. And then there's so much more to unravel.
Well, if you find yourself going negative still, then there definitely is. Would that be fair?
Yeah, that's a really good like I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she's like, just like have someone say butterflies and like take a breath and like just reevaluate. Yeah. And I was like, okay, yeah.
Because whatever you're zoomed into probably is not worth the fight.
Well, when I'm that negative, I'm clearly not in the present because nothing is that bad.
Right.
Everything has really turned around, and I've been instrumental in making that happen. So why am I looking at all the dark stuff that like, who cares? Like, we all make mistakes. Like, don't live in it. Like, whatever, move forward and through it. And are you apologetic for that mistake? Are you sorry for it? You know what I mean? Have you learned something, etc.? Those are all that matters. We all make mistakes, and we all make them constantly. Sorry, all you perfectionists. Like, you're not perfect. None of us are. No, and I was so adamant that I wouldn't use my MS as an excuse for anything. that I like almost fought against it. Like, I'm fine.
But if I may, that is
Please.
exactly the same thing that you can't stand about
Yeah.
people who are going to, they get pregnant, they're going to have kids. Our life's not going to change. We don't have to, whatever. We're going to be awesome, fun parents who go out and drink and whatever the fuck. Good for you. But like, are you, does it ever work out that way? I mean, maybe it does in rare occasions. And so what? Good, as long as everybody's happy, great. From my experience, not so much. And you can't stand that.
I know.
This is the same.
With I think this is my MS. I literally fight myself every opportunity I get. I hate that about other people. And so I definitely am the most judgmental about things and other people that I don't like about myself the most.
Yeah, of course.
So for a while when I was really tired and I was really down on myself, I'm like, there's nothing you can do. Just sit here and fucking die. That's what's happening.
Yeah, that was the attitude. I remember.
And it was awful. But then I'm like, and so I know that there were a couple interactions that like I'm not proud of, that I know other people that have like mental health issues or whatever, and they're quick to be like, I have this, and it's a crutch. And
we've met people like that at cars. People have introduced themselves to us at cars. First of all, I'm bipolar. Like,
yeah.
Okay, nice opener.
And it's like, I'm learning more from everyone how they're dealing with all their own shit. We're all dealing with it. We're all doing the best we can.
Absolutely.
Like, we don't do it all well. But my big thing was I don't want to use my MS as a crutch. And MS is confusing and people don't know what it means. It's like the Golden State Killer had like they just caught him. This is so exciting. Like Patton Oswalt, awesome. Like, I'm so proud of him.
Patton Oswalt was the killer?
No, he was not the killer.
He found the killer?
His late wife found the killer and worked
no
with law
kidding.
enforcement and wrote this book, and then she died right before it came out.
I remember that whole story. Yeah, wow.
So he's out. He was out promoting the book because he made sure it got finished. He was like, if this doesn't get finished, like she'll, like, no way. So yeah, he got out there and helped get the attention to help get it caught and whatever. I'm really proud of him. Michelle is being thanked and really lauded with like narrowing down the name so that it was more clear for people to understand of the killer.
I know, but why? We're talking about you. How do we get?
Because MS is so broad and no one really knows what it is.
Okay.
If I can narrow it down and I don't want to wear a sign that says I have MS. You have to be careful and fragile about me.
Right, wear kid gloves.
Yeah, and so I caught myself when I was really dark being like, but I have MS, so whatever. And it's like, I don't want to be like that.
That's what you said you didn't want to do.
Right. So, but I got caught doing that.
Oh, I see.
And I realized the other day how far I'd gotten because I was so far deep on Friday that or Thursday that I saw the light switch off and I was like,
yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah,
That's not
crazy.
right. So, I don't get to say that I want to help people talk about chronic illness and all that nonsense.
Now you're on.
If I'm
page.
not the right messenger for it.
Or if you're not willing to do the work
Yeah.
yourself. That's
Yeah.
what it comes down to me. Nobody's perfect. I don't care what YouTube or internet motivator or inspirational person or even Tony Robbins. Like, guess what? Tony Robbins is a fucking, that guy's got it going on. Make fun of him all you want. Like, the guy is an incredible brain. He's not perfect.
And he'll probably
Nobody
be the
is.
first one to admit it.
Yeah.
It's just in the moment, like, anyway, I got caught in it and I'm getting out of it and here I am and thanks and sorry and blah, 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 moving forward.
Well, now what do we talk about since
Uh-oh.
we're wrapped up? You just see how you did that?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did. Yeah, I heard that. I didn't want to do that though. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all part of it, though. I asked you part of this process, and I wasn't kidding. This is back to the Chiron at the beginning, and forgive me if anyone can hear any. There seemed to be sawing something outside. I don't have my
Light
cans on, so I
remodel
can actually
downstairs.
full hear it. But there's definitely. It sounds like summer rental with the circular saw. I got traded a power tool for those. The gist of it was what I said was how to be a superhero, and then rocking your weird. I believe that everyone can be awesome. Everyone can be, everyone can be everything they want to be. And the irony is, it's once they stop trying to be something else. So what I'm pushing, and we, I guess now, but really what has been my push from this whole, the beginning of this podcast was for authenticity, being genuine, being vulnerable. I personally believe, and I got this from Gary Shandling way back when, but when you when you get to a certain point where you've done enough work, or you've gotten to a dark enough place, or whatever is the impetus for you. For some people, it's a near-death experience or whatever. When you decide that life's worth living, like you decided whatever you were doing, you have like an awakening or a catharsis of some sort where you decide to shift. Vulnerability and figuring out who you really are and not being afraid to be who you really are. I mean, this stuff, if you can unlock this stuff and actually get dialed into it, and I say this stuff because I'm not actually saying anything, there is no magic potion to this, but figuring out who you are and then embracing it and just being okay with it, not caring about what other people think. Right. A side note on that, think of it in we relate things to, we analogize a lot. Think of like YouTube or Instagram followers or something like that, and if you wake up in the morning and some have dropped off or whatever, that like then you didn't want them. You should be happy. You should be happy that they dropped off because it leaves more room for your people, and your people are coming to you by the day because you're being more authentic. The people who are dropping off are the people who liked the old phony you. Do you still want them around?
No, and intellectually I know that. And then I'm like, why am I like I don't care. I'm not reaching out to them looking for it to hang out. So,
right.
What am I holding on to? I
don't know, except in your mind maybe that, I worked so hard to amass this old life and whatever, and I still haven't. Then that's normal. Lame. It's all part of it. No, it's normal. It's all part of it, but it's a part you've got to get over at some point. You know what I'm saying? The process will not be, it's a halt. It's a halt until you figure that part out. Anyway, so unlocking your weird or whatever, being a superhero, I truly believe, because I feel that way now. I feel like, all right, so my secret was like for 20 years that like nobody knew I was a fucking Letterman fan because I was too much of a Letterman fan. You know what I mean? So like I locked it away. I didn't tell anybody. It was crazy. Seriously, how long? We were married for years before you knew to the extent of this.
This is, it goes pretty deep, and you did hide it.
Or that I had the ability to do this.
Well, this is what's incredible, and this is what one cannot explain this. Like you're always you're as good at this as anyone I worked with, and so me trying to be like, no, and people are like, how do you mean? I'm like, don't you see? Like,
well, I think you're being polite because you're my wife and all, and you love me. I think you're being extra nice, and I'll take it, and I appreciate it.
Okay.
But it's my point, though. And by the way, look at how things are unlocking for us. And if I had been this way the whole time, blah, blah, blah. Somebody, and this is, God, I'm going to get in trouble for this. I don't know how to say this without. It wasn't me. This is a real thing that happened. I'm just going to tell the story. A friend that somebody that we both knew a lot. This is years ago, and I'm sure it was in a drunken stupor or whatever. But they were going through something, and they were looking at the other friends in their life, and they noticed that all of their gay friends, men and women, were doing much better in their lives. And he was speaking specifically about financial reasons, job thing, opportunities that had just flown towards them, seemingly out of nowhere, et cetera, et cetera. And meanwhile, this guy was like, this totally sounds like, I'm asking for a friend. It really does sound like me, but it really was somebody else. But meanwhile, they were going through a hard time, and they couldn't wrap their head around it. Nothing they did was working, blah, 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 blah. I equate that to somebody who has come out of the closet is speaking their truth. They've owned their shit, whatever they were afraid of, whatever they were holding back, whatever made them vulnerable, whatever made them feel that other people might not embrace them. They got over it. They're speaking their truth. So outright, they're living a better life, and then with that comes all of the things. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
now,
so
I'm not saying it is that simple, but I'm saying that if you wanted to draw a line and correlate the two, I'm pretty sure there are enough similarities there to do so.
You're saying something that a lot of psychology books will validate you for.
Okay.
It goes along that, and I think along that way, I really have to get clear about like I wanted to be a comedian, and a writer of humor. So like once you own that part, I think life gets better. So it's
I think
just
you
a
need to
weird
find your
thing to
medium.
say.
You already are all of those things that you want to be. You need to find your medium for your art. You have the brain for it already. You need to figure out what your medium is.
You
And
think that's
I do.
okay?
Because you want to be a writer, and that's good and great, and you probably will. I mean, you are a writer, but you probably will be successful at that if that's what you really want. It may be like you could be a satirist. You could be a fucking cartoonist for the New Yorker because of the way your mind works. Your mind works. I say that you beat around the bush with everything, and you don't ever literally talk about whatever the fucking thing is.
Worse, I know. Worse.
Well, that works though in comedy, and it works in other things if you can harness it and figure out a way to do it. So I think it really is going to come down to your medium. I think that you should start up. You've been talking for a long time about a podcast. I think that you should host your own podcast, which you already have a title for and an idea for and everything. I think that once we get over this hump, or at least a little closer to it, I think you're going to be able to do all of those things, and you're going to see very clearly what will work and what won't work for you, because you're going to know what you want to do and what you don't. And what you want to do will work, and what you don't won't. At that point, I believe.
It's already true. I mean, it's already true. I think if I could just say whatever, I just want to say things again, because for so many, to speak generally, I feel like there's a lot of women that kind of get into a place in life for whatever reason, whether it's they have kids and they stop working or whatever, blah, blah, blah. For me, it was I got sick. And so I got sidelined from everything I knew how to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Your whole life that you had made.
Everything from when I was a kid, like athletics and all this other shit. So, I think I'm navigating a weird part of life that a lot of people fall into and organically do better. But there's something about partnerships and what partners afford partners, and that you're helping me to do it. And I think I get hung up often because I'm so grateful for the opportunities that we're creating with this new lifestyle, and that you've really been at the forefront of making for us. And I get hung up that I'm not good enough for everything that's gone into it yet. So that might be part of my thing.
Yeah, but okay. Well, I mean, there's a couple parts there. One, the not good enough needs to go away entirely. It's a perfectly natural thing. I would say, it sounds to me though more like maybe you feel a lack of contribution, like creative contribution or whatever, opportunity contribution, whatever. It's more than you're not worthy. Does that make sense? To me, it seems like you feel like I'm not pulling my weight. So I don't know. When you get self-conscious about stuff, you get aggressive and you make it about everybody else, like as if they're dropping the ball.
Not cool.
No, it's a shitty thing, but it's a thing that people do. You know what I mean? It's people do that. They feel backed into a corner and they make it somebody else's problem. You know, it's not good. It's fucking really immature. And anybody who's like an adult who has a good head on their shoulders can see through that bullshit
GTFO, man.
all day long. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Call us when you grow up. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get bent up but all right. So the gist of it was, I asked you to figure out something, and we've done a lot of it now. We may have already covered it, but I asked you to figure out something vulnerable to say, because I believe, and this is what I was saying before, I believe that getting to your truth, getting to breaking down your fears, breaking down whatever barriers you have, whatever you don't want people to see, all of that stuff, if you want to be a success at this, you have to wear it all on the shirt. You have to put it out there for people to see. Otherwise, there's nothing for them to sink their teeth into.
Yeah.
Why should they trust you? Why should they want to hang out with you? And I mean, on television, on the YouTube.
It's a really valid point. It's, may I?
Please. Please. Sorry.
Would you say that with iced coffee? Woo.
Yeah, Jocelyn Kahn. Oh, Jocelyn.
Jocelyn.
One of the producers of The Daily Show and one of our favorite people in the entire world, Jocelyn Kahn. Iced coffee. Ooh. That's for you. All right, go ahead.
Shit, what was I going to say?
Something vulnerable?
It's been difficult for me. One of the most vulnerable things I really kind of fight often is like what I want to talk about doesn't necessarily drive like for like what to tell you anyone that this show is about, whatever. It's because it's about, I really feel vulnerable most often when I don't feel like a great human, like I'm not doing it right. And so I don't know how to say, like, I need to learn to...
What makes you feel that you're not being a human right? Like, that was a tough thing. I think there's so much stuff that we need to... This isn't a one day. This isn't a single session.
Well, I was really good at my job at one point, right? And I knew how to be good at my job. I knew what I could measure. I knew what I was being measured against to tell me I was good at my job.
Okay.
I don't have that same... checklist. I don't like that word either, but I don't necessarily know what goes into being a good wife or being a good person or being a good writer. Like I don't have the telltale signs of whatever, and I get
it's so weird to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because what you're telling me is you need someone to tell you that stuff, and that to me is weird because that is intuition, in my opinion. May I make an observation, something I know to be true about you?
Yeah.
You do not learn very well.
No.
And that sounds horrible. I don't mean it that way, but you don't learn very well.
No.
You don't, you need checklists versus just, looking at a situation and saying what's wrong with it by just analysis.
Here's the truth though,
Oh.
is I could look at a situation and you point out often, like I'm quick to point out every problem in a situation. Like I can nail that shit down. I don't know how to fix it. I know how to say what's wrong with something. I don't always know how to fix things. And that is proving quite problematic for myself.
Okay, well, if you were doing it alone, I would agree with you, but you're not. So
Right.
it's a matter of how much faith you have in your support system. To me, that's my opinion. It looks like, oh, well, how much faith do you have in your support system? Because if you had more faith in your support system, you would reach out for help.
That is something I'm horrible at. So I do want to take the onus off of anyone else, though. It's not that I don't have faith in other people. I really don't have faith in myself sometimes to like ask for the right thing or like be clear or whatever. That I know causes issues with us. I say the wrong things often for what I mean. So
yeah, that's an important delineation there. You don't say the wrong things. You can say anything you want, but you say the opposite of what you mean frequently, and that's confusing.
it's not.
I know how to
awesome.
like decode you for other people. So do you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of times where I'm like, she means this.
Yes.
Like, oh, really? Oh, okay.
You shouldn't have to. And my goal is to write my brain so that you don't have to. Like I
think that's a good goal for everybody.
Heads up. That's my new lot in life.
Yeah.
So the vulnerability part, I mean, I always feel vulnerable. Like I don't
Started with, I asked you to say something and you're saying that it's, where did we get? You don't know how to be a good. I don't like the whole, you're not good enough for your partner thing. You said, I don't feel worthy of who I'm with. What did you say? I don't want to put
not
words in your
feeling.
mouth
I think what I said to you, it was a text, and so this is where I really falter too, like conciseness of content. But
okay, well, you said it here on the show, so I don't even know about the text.
Okay, what I said was that I don't often feel good enough for who I'm with.
That's it.
And that is my vulnerability.
Yeah, why though? Why is that? What's going on with you that you're not good enough?
Well,
Because that's crazy. I get it. Everyone has those thoughts sometimes, but I don't think that anybody goes out of their way to make you feel that way. So I believe that it's coming from within. Would you agree?
Yes. It's all my own projection of other people's judgments that they may or may not have, and they don't matter if they do.
But no one, from my experience, ever verbalizes these judgments that may or may not occur. Why are you spending any time there creating them in your head?
Because I'm a dum-dum that I'm working through.
No, it's not that. No, I'm going to say one further. If you were really doing that, that's a version of mental illness. That's a whole nother thing. I don't want you to hang a hat on that. I want you to see that this is a trait of something that you need to steer clear of.
Well, this is why we're talking about this.
It's a version of paranoia, don't you think? Or even worse.
Yeah.
But I don't think those things about you. So I think that this is a behavior type thing that can be overcome just by your own state of mind.
This is probably the first time I've been as honest as I'm being about it. Mm-hmm. So hopefully.
How does it feel?
A little uncomfortable still. I feel like this thing
Is it scary?
Yeah.
Showing your belly kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what I asked you for.
You got it.
Look, it's one of those.
It has to be
You have
done.
to break. Yeah, you're too goddamn tough, and I mean that it's a compliment in some ways. But I mean you're so tough and stubborn that you won't even let yourself break yourself down.
That's true.
You won't let yourself do it.
I don't do it. I won't let myself do it. I guess
that's a detriment, though, don't you think? Because then it seems like you're not being honest with yourself. Way, way deep in there.
Yes. I am really good at denial. I have sharpened that sword like no one's business. So
it's a publicist's most frequently used tool, isn't it? Denial.
Horrible. Yes, it is one of the tools.
I don't want to get into. I mean, I don't want to shit on it, and it whatever. I don't want to get into that, but
it because that was my job, and I was so good at it. It trained my brain to like go there first. Like, how can you get whoever out, get me out, whatever. And I'm working so hard to break that down because it is a lie. It is denial. It's not.
It's get the spotlight off me long enough for something else shiny to come by.
Yeah,
and that is
misdirection.
Bullshit.
Total.
I'm telling you, for somebody who is all about authenticity and is genuine. What's another word for genuine? Like in another tense, like genuinity. That doesn't work. But anyway, being genuine and just authentic. I hate the term authentic because in the advertising industry, it took over like ruined. 10 years ago. And it's just like, you can't even say it in a meeting anymore or you'll be fucking kicked out of the room. So but for the regular people out there who don't know that, authenticity.
Truth. Real truth.
Yeah. Whatever it is. And it's okay. It's okay. I don't know. All right. Let's make some announcements. Okay. And, well, hey, for me, my vulnerability, because I wear it all the time, I'm self-conscious about all sorts of stuff. My weight, I used to be like whatever, and now I'm like really skinny, and I'm self-conscious about my hairline, which I turned 40, and that's going away pretty rapidly. I don't really care about it because I don't really care, but I know that like it's a thing. I know that other people care, so I think that sometimes I take that on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know that when I lay silently with myself at night when I'm meditating or whatever, I know that I don't care.
Right.
It's only the other people who, if somebody else were to say something or make a comment, that I would care about. So once I know the difference there, I'm able to in the moment be like, okay, if somebody made a joke about something, I would my weight or my hair, anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you, once you reconcile it yourself and know how you feel about it and that you're actually okay with it, you don't give a shit what anybody else thinks, and then their bullets are rubber. Does that make sense?
Intellectually, it makes perfect sense. I still get hung up on the emotional part of it, and I want to let that go. So that's why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
But it's not easy.
I just wanted to balance the playing field.
Thanks.
Say a couple. You know what I mean? Like it's not all about you. It's us. We're looking at you today because we need to. That's what we do. It's okay. Well, look at me some days.
I'm happy to do that, for the record. It helps me get through all the shit I'm vulnerable about, because I don't even recognize half of it because I was so good at putting up walls and denial and lies.
Yeah, no, I know. I know. You skewed the scale for sure. You broke the curve.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that I don't want to get into it, but man, there was stuff before when I first met you. I was like, you're a liar. And you're like, I am not.
I am not.
No, you are. You're a liar. You just lied like 6 times on that phone call. And I'm not saying that it's important or that anyone's going to die over it or anything. I mean, I understand why you had to do it and everything, but I was like, you're a liar. You lie for a living. And you didn't get that for a long time. Now I see, at least in your face, when you look back, you're like, holy fuck, I was. Which lets me know at least that, we're on the same page and you're coming to the surface.
I'm coming to the surface. It was a lot to realize I'd devoted so much of my life to something that the antithesis of anything I am. So I had to get over that first.
That's so funny.
Thanks.
All right, good. All right, well, we've got a bunch of things here that are not input. It's just these are all just things we just have to get through. It's just business. Last week, what did we do? We had so you didn't go to Breakfast Club on Friday, and then Saturday we did go outside. I don't know. There's a couple things. There may be videos to come. We just didn't. I didn't look at the library to see what was shot. I can't remember. It's the other thing too was this was a great great weekend to kind of take it a little bit easy, because from Luftgekult last weekend, and then just the weeks leading up to it, and then even the first couple days of the week where we felt just kind of dead tired. I watched that zombie show, or the
Hangover one?
I just did. We watched that Monday Hangover show, the Luftgekult Hangover, and I look like a zombie. I'm just standing there like, let me get my breath. I'm like, I'm so tired. Like, get a hold of yourself, man. Holy crap. I look like a broken person. It was crazy. And everybody we talked to was the same way.
Totally.
Anyway, so videos maybe. Viewer mail. All right. So did go to Newcomb's the other day. And we got more mugs, folks.
Yippee.
People love to give us mugs. It's super cool. But when we got there, Danny had gotten these out for us.
They're really pretty.
And I was very surprised also. They really are nice and pretty. Look at that little two Newcomb's Revenge, and look at gray charcoal and nice, and so whatever, we'll see. We've kind of got the show mugs figured out, but I still think it's awesome. If anything, I'm going to put my name on it and leave it up there at the ranch.
That's a good idea.
So that was nice, and you see these twos everywhere on everything. We get all these twos. I mean, it's obviously California State 2, but it's the Newcomb's. They don't really have an address. They're like, it's mile marker, blah blah blah, on the 2.
That's their thing.
Yeah, so that's why that's kind of
very
their logo.
cool. I've actually always wondered that, because it is a state through like free highway or whatever.
Yeah, it is.
Very cool.
All right, let's see. Derek Whitaker. Derek Whitaker, we love you, and everyone else loves you too. We will have Derek Whitaker back at his earliest convenience. Let's see. Rocking your weird. Embracing your weird. It's awesome. We covered it. Vulnerability. Nailed it. Let's see. Updates on... and we're going to have to do updates on Tom Green, Mark Summers, etc. There are some. I'm not going to get into it now because we've added another name to that list, and it's kind of a big one. And I don't want to talk about it today. So we will figure that out. Tomorrow on the show, I think we have Marco from TLG.
Awesome.
Which will be pretty cool. I always want to say Marco Geraci because I knew someone by the name of Sean Geraci, but didn't he say specifically that's not how you say his last name? It's like Geras, I think, or something.
I think so.
All right. Well, I'm sorry, Marco, but we're looking forward to having you in studio tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I hope that works out. He was clearing one last thing, but I think it's going to work out.
Awesome.
I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else, Mrs. Ryan?
No, I'm just going to work on my vulnerability for the rest of the day.
How does that work? What does that mean?
I'm going to go right and be really honest with myself further so that I can be a better person here for all of them.
I would like you to be a better person for you.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that the product everywhere else that you're still worried about will automatically improve.
Thank you.
I'm being incredibly serious about that. You are always trying to I gotta do this. If you would fucking fix this, then all of that other stuff will be awesome, and you won't even be able to keep it from being awesome. And I mean that. I guarantee it. I've seen it. I've seen it from experience.
You're right. Thank you. You're the best reminder.
You're the best reminder. I love you, Mrs. Ryan.
Love you.
Thanks for hanging in there with us,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys.
This
Really.
is, you know, this is what we do. We're figuring it out. And I think that us working on ourselves in front of other people will hopefully show them that it's okay to work on yourself, to think about these things. And it's okay to be vulnerable. I know that like it seems like a bad time for that politically and everything. Like, you know, don't do that. You need to be tough. I don't believe it. Kill it with honesty and all that stuff. So anyway,
You're right.
All right. We love you. We love everybody. Thank you so much for being
Thanks,
here.
guys.
And we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.